morning, everyone. This is Ed Capone from the Northeast River Forecast Center, and I'll be doing the briefing today along with Neil Strauss, the hydrometeorologist. We also have Rob Shedd, the Development and Operation Hydrologist, and Nicole Belk from the Weather Service Office in Taunton here today. Well, as you're all quite aware of, looking at the MODIS image, we're completely locked up in most of New England and New York with ice. And this pattern has continued the last 2 weeks, the cold weather. And as we look kind of real close at some of our imagery, you see Oneida Lake and the deep Finger Lakes, of course, are open. Other than that, this image was from 2 days ago, where part of the Champlain Basin, and part of it, Lake Champlain, and Sebago Lake were open. But as of this morning, Sebago Lake is closed, Winnipesaukee closed, rivers pretty much choked up with ice, even down into the lower parts of the Hudson River. Plenty of ice at the Tappan Zee Bridge. Lots of ice cutters in the river itself. And thanks to Steve DiRienzo and Department of Homeland Security, we were able to get some of these pictures of the type of ice that's in the Hudson River. Brash ice, these cakes of ice, which aren't too common in this area. Drift ice, a lot of the caked ice moving, and even though this picture is not from the Hudson River, they also have this fast ice. Wave action, wind, and flow doesn't like to move this. This is really anchored in on the Hudson River. Going a little bit further to the west, we showed this graphic 2 weeks ago when we were 50% iced up on the Great Lakes, but now that's up to almost 71%. Oh, we have a little malfunction here. Well, in that graphic, I don't know if you can still see it, but probably not. We were iced up to 71% on the Great Lakes. And with the next 2 weeks being pretty cold and the outlook pretty cold, we could be approaching the 77, 78 year of record ice on the Great Lakes. But for our interest at the NERFC, we see that Lake Erie, of course, is frozen, and we're done with the lake effect machine there. Ontario, of course, is primarily open, and we'll still have, under the right conditions, a lake effect machine operating on Ontario. Everybody can see my screen, I hope, that I'm on that slide. Well, with all this talk of ice, we don't want to get too carried away, but with the season going on, second half of winter, and still remain cold, the later we get into the season with this ice, we could have some interesting situations down the road with flooding if the pattern does change and we carry ice along. But certainly, we won't be this bad, but just our snow cover in the last 2 weeks, we've increased some of our snow cover across southern New England, southern New York. But if you look here, the over 2 feet of snow is primarily kept in the higher areas of the Tug Hill Plateau and western and northern Maine. And our snow is really not that impressive this time of year. We went to the NORIS map of departure from normal snow depth at this time. You can see that our high elevation areas of the Adirondacks into the Green and White Mountains in western Maine were anywhere from 1 to a little over 2 feet below normal. And of course, with a couple of storms we've had this past week in southern basins of our area, we're about normal, maybe a hair above normal in snow depth. The all-important snow water equivalent for the RFC is we're not really showing a lot of snow water equivalent across the low coastal plain and the valley areas, 1 to 2 inch snow water equivalent, with the 6 to 8 inches and maybe 9 to 10 possible on the Tug Hill Plateau, western and northern Maine. So overall, the snow water equivalent is below what it could be this time of year, this week of February. Since we last spoke, we've been mainly colder than normal. We did have that brief warm-up in late January. Ice formation continues. We had 2 snow events here with sort of a clipper system and a coastal in southern New England. The first event was confined to southeastern New England and a little more widespread in the second event. Like I said, the snow cover is more widespread, but pretty meager at that. The depths have increased to 6 to 12 inches across southern New England. Precipitation for the last 2 weeks has been above normal in western New York and parts of southern New England. But other than that, it's near normal across the region with some slightly below normal precip in the last 2 weeks across Maine and parts of northern New England. But generally, we're plus or minus an inch in the water equivalents to normal in the past 2 weeks. And like I said, we did have the clippers and coastals, and the Lake Ontario snow effect machine is still operating. Over the past 90 days, this is quite an improvement over the previous 90 days. A lot of plus or minus 1 inch from normal, but we still do have some dry counties in northeastern Mass and in northern New York. Our 180-day departure is still showing this dry area of around 4 to 7 inches below normal in eastern Massachusetts, southeastern New Hampshire, much of southern New England. Other than that, plus or minus an inch from normal, plus or minus a couple of inches from normal in the past 180 days for the water suppliers. From the USGS, the stream flow conditions where they are not ice affected, primarily in the normal to slightly below normal range across the Northeast, but many of our gauges are ice affected. Groundwater conditions, basically normal to slightly below normal, with eastern Maine having above normal groundwater conditions, as has been the case for the last 2 weeks. Our water supply reservoirs across the Northeast are generally normal to slightly above normal. New York City water supply, 90% of capacity, slightly above normal. Situate Reservoir, even though it's down 5 or 6 feet, it's slightly above normal with 88% capacity for this week of February. And Lake Champlain, I have the yearly map on here. We're about 2 or 3 tenths above normal on the lake for this week of February. Also, looking at the drought monitor, I did put this up quickly. The long-term precip deficit is slowly but surely dwindling away and leaving the area, so not going to spend much time on this. And same with the seasonal outlook. When it's updated next month, it'll be wiped out. We have no problem with drought in this area at this time. Just another note, across the Northeast, we've had frost readings from 13 inches here in the sand near Taunton to 11 to 13 inches from Buffalo to Burlington, and up to 22 inches outside of Albany, 11 inches up in the Caribou area. And down here, we did have a temperature reading in the snowpack this morning in the low 20s. So still pretty cold. Snow's pretty cold here. Need quite a bit of heat to get rid of it. Oh. Okay, Neil, take it away for the next week and next 2 weeks.
Okay, thanks, Ed. So we've had that below normal temperature regime for the past couple of weeks with a brief warm-up in late January and early February, and it looks like the upper level pattern, the jet stream pattern, is really not going to change all that much, although there's some disagreement amongst the long-range models and the teleconnections beyond a week or so. So we'll have to look for that, but right now, taking a look at the precipitation forecasts, we are seeing that there will be increased chances of precipitation along the coastline with a series of low-pressure systems emanating from the tropical jet stream in the Gulf, and the polar jet stream also remain nearby. So the main question will be over the next couple of weeks, where and when will phasing occur? And that'll have an impact on the overall flood outlook for southern and eastern areas. But right now, it looks active over the next couple of weeks. And so looking at the teleconnection patterns, we see that the NAO remains slightly in the positive phase. That means the systems are moving, and they're moving through the area at a good clip, which is a good thing. And the PNA Pacific North American Oscillation is in the negative phase right now. And as we've noted, bit of an increase in the Pacific jet stream activity in the West Coast. Very active, but a quick moving pattern at least across the contiguous 48 states. And taking a look at the CPC 8 to 14-day outlook, it's confirming below normal temperatures across the Northeast with the polar jet stream nearby, and above normal threat for greater than normal precipitation across the Northeast with potential coastal systems and possible clipper systems as well. And taking a look at event number 1, doesn't look all that impressive right now, just a weak upper level disturbance moving through the upper level flow with the deep moisture remaining offshore. Earlier it looked a little more menacing, but right now it shouldn't be a big deal for the area, just some light snowfall. As you can see, the upper air jet stream pattern is rather flat and progressive, so not much of a worry for the area. But looks like a potential significant system right up around the 14th, and the models right now are in somewhat disagreement of exactly where the track is going to be, so we'll have to watch for this one. There's some evidence that there could be a potential for some mixed precipitation along the coast, with the bulk of the precipitation staying across the eastern half of the area. And as you can see, the upper level jet stream turns a bit more amplified as we approach later next week. Now heading on way out in advance where the uncertainty is increased, we do see another potential significant system right around Friday the 21st. As you can take a look at the red and blue lines there, it looks like we're still colder than normal, so a lot of that potentially could be in the form of snow, but again, that's way out in the future, but it does look like cold air does stay with us. You can see the polar vortex migrating into eastern Canada with colder than normal temperatures remaining across the region. And taking a look at the river conditions, you can see, as Ed was talking about, there's a lot of ice-affected gauges right now. And the main concern with the below normal temperatures is a continued accumulation of ice across the constricted rivers and streams across central New England, as well as interior eastern New York and interior southern New England. We're already locked in with ice across the far north, and across the far south, the coverage is a lot more sparse, at least at this point. And so, at least in the near term, significant flood threat, except possibly for those ice-affected areas, which could see some backwater accumulation. And the overall spring potential outlook right now, I have it below normal across the interior. I'm seeing colder than normal temperatures will likely persist across those areas. And so any precipitation that does come down will be likely in the form of snow. And there is some question down in southeast New York and in southern New England as far as event on the 13th and 14th, whether or not that's going to be rain or snow. So I kind of left on a near normal outlook. And also in addition, there's more snow cover and more snow water equivalent. Those two recent events on the 3rd and the 5th. Across western New York, they did receive about a ½ inch of rainfall back in late January from a pretty thaw, and the antecedent conditions are very moist in that area. So if we actually do, for some reason, see a primary system move to the west, there could be a slightly greater potential for flooding across that area.
And I threw this on here as Rob usually sends out Facebook, Twitter updates, and this here is our end-of-month update. Shows some conditions in our area that will be customarily found on our Facebook, Twitter site. And also, Rob is, this is also on YouTube. He'll be emailing